and highly esteemed followers. I want to talk about the difference between alliteration, consonance, and assonance. These three are elements of sounds as long as literature in English is concerned. But what are the differences between this? Let me begin with alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the initial consonant sound in closely placed words. So it can be a line of poetry, and in the line we have words beginning from the same consonant sound. So when there is a repetition in a particular consonant sound at the initial position of words in a particular line, it is known as alliteration. A typical example is in this line: Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Here we have a good number of words beginning with the sound P. So it is an indication that this consonant sound is repeated. But at which position? At the initial position of that word. We have different positions in words. We have the initial position, the medial position, and the final position. It is at the initial position when we find the sound at the beginning of words. It is at the medial position when we find the sounds at the middle of words. Then it is at the final position when we find the sound at the end of words. Okay, so alliteration has to do with the repetition of consonant sound at the initial position, that is at the beginning of words in a line of poetry. So the key feature here is that the repetition is at the beginning of words. So note that. Again, consonants, on the other hand, is the repetition of consonant sounds anywhere in words. So this one is not just at the beginning, but also at the medial position and the final position. A typical example of consonants: the lumpy bumpy road. In that particular expression, we have the P sound repeated at the middle of lumpy and bumpy. So that's an indication of consonants. The similarity here that's between alliteration and consonants is that they have to do with the repetition of consonant sounds, but the position is what distinguishes between them. For alliteration, it is at the initial position, but for consonants, at the medial position and final position mostly. So the key feature here is that the repetition can be in the middle or end of words, and not necessarily at the start, that is at the beginning. Again, assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds within closely placed words. Example: the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. Here we have the repetition of a vowel sound, because assonance has to do with repetition of vowel sounds and not consonant sounds this time. So the repetition of vowel sounds within closely placed words is what is termed as assonance. So the key feature here is the repeated vowel sound can be anywhere in the words. So looking at this example, we have the A sound, the diphthong A, repeated in rain, Spain, stays, mainly, and in plain. So this is a typical example of assonance. So I want to believe you understand the difference between alliteration, consonants, and assonance as long as literature in English language is concerned. Note again that alliteration and consonants have to do with repetition of consonant sounds. Then alliteration is at the beginning, then consonance is at the medial position or the final position. Then assonance is for vowel sounds, the repetition of vowel sounds. So note this and don't forget that these are elements of sounds as long as literature in English is concerned. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do well to like, comment, and share. I remain Teacher Dixon.